Hello, and welcome to episode 13?
Jesus fucking Christ. All right, cool, yeah.
Yes, it's episode 13 of A Pathetic Podcast. I am Christian. I'm your host / co-host, and joined with me is the most beautiful, lovely person in the world, young Patrick. Hello,
If
Patrick.
you want more of this beauty and this loveliness, as you said, you can follow me on Scented Glad Bag. That is my Twitter handle. And this fucking piece of shit, I listened to it at home, and the first thing I texted you is, you fucking bastard, because you said unfollow, and there's not a fucking thing I can do about that because I was not here.
Yeah, here's the thing. I told him for like a week ahead of time because he said he was going to be out of town.
I was like, you won't.
I was like, the first thing I'm going to do is tell people to unfollow it at ScentedGladBag on Twitter.com.
I said, you won't.
And I did. I did do it. And I didn't include any paninis on the episode either. Bitch.
Heartless, dude. Okay. So, like, I step away for one day, and we're going to talk about serious topics, and we're going to remove my Twitter fan base.
I know. And I did research, too.
And yeah, I don't even know. Is there anything researched for today? Is there anything we're talking about?
No, I figured we'd talk a little bit about what I talked about last time, but also I want to talk about more tinfoil ass hat stuff.
Yes.
Because I did watch the fucking Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix, so I totally want to talk about that at some point.
I watched. Did you watch that and both that and the podcast he was on?
The Joe Rogan one. Yeah, but before we jump into today's actual topic, shout out to you guys. Welcome to the 9090 gang. If you're a continuing member of the 9090 gang, you are appreciated. But for everybody else, welcome. Once again, not a street gang, a outlaw cowboy gang. We're robbing trains in the 1800s.
Yeah, I mean, both have bandanas, but for different purposes.
Well, on different parts of the head, too.
Different parts of the head, certainly.
Yeah, we got bandanas on the head, but we do bandanas on the face.
I mean, not only for dust protection, but also for, concealing identity.
Yeah, you can't let people know, But yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in once again. For those of you who are new, please give us a like, subscribe, follow on everything at Podpathetic on Twitter. We're A Pathetic Podcast on YouTube, Pathetic Podcast on Facebook. We're all over the place. So
and at Scented Glad Bag on Twitter.
Unfollow at Scented. Follow him and then unfollow him.
For the record, we're probably going to sound a little bit tired today. We are fresh off work. Normally, we get up early Saturday morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and record this, and so we probably have a lot more energy. But we've been getting our soul sucked out in an office for 8 hours, so we're making sure this is going to be done a little bit ahead of time so that we can make sure we are good for 4th of July weekend where we'll be celebrating. That being said, we're muscled up.
We're
muscled the fuck up.
We got the sleeveless shirts on. I got the USA going because I love independence in America and whatnot.
Can we talk about mine real quick?
I mean, yeah, we could talk about yours for a little bit.
And if we don't mind, and there will be a story behind it afterwards, but I want to, if we could throw some flames up here, because I'm about to let you know what the fuck it says.
So flames are going right now while Patrick's getting up. He's going to bump his head on everything because he's a giant. And now you guys actually get to see how big this motherfucker is, so enjoy that. And I'm sure you can't see what it says, but it says, never underestimate a woman who listens to Tina Turner and was born in April.
Never! Never underestimate a woman who listens to Tina Turner and was born in April! And then that led me to being at Qdoba last night, eating a large burrito by myself. And while I was there, I was wearing this shirt because, whatever, nobody's going to notice me or talk to me. And a lot of people, believe it or not, the irony is not caught with them when they see me wearing this shirt. I either get a weird look, or this one guy, bless his heart, well, let me fuck the whole table up. Bless his heart, he came up to me, and he was like, oh, I see you wearing that Tina Turner shirt, man, and proceeds to punish me with Tina Turner facts for like 10 minutes. Keep in mind, this is standing in the middle of a burrito establishment. And so we were being son. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And he was like, yeah, you got to look it up. This thing about Tina Turner's called. And I'm like, I don't know shit about Tina Turner. Dude.
You should have hit him back with like a bunch of fake facts. You should have been like, did you actually know that Tina Turner is an alien? Like low key? Like real shit though? Tina Turner is an alien.
Did you know that Tina Turner's third uncle was Oscar Mayer?
Like the wiener.
Was a hot dog.
he was one hot dog. He was Oscar Mayer the hot dog. Yeah, but that Patrick may or may not look like somebody who currently resides in a trailer park, but whatever.
I've actually been going for that aesthetic lately. Like, I've found that I have more joy from sitting in a broken chair in my backyard drinking beer, wearing a metal band T-shirt with the sleeves cut off. Which, by the way, I went my whole life not realizing how just sleeveless T-shirts are the move, and you got to cut them shits way down.
I used to do that a lot, like maybe like sophomore, junior year of high school. I cut the sleeves off of like all of my shirts.
Ironically, though, I'm doing this at my fattest I've ever been.
Well, it really only works if you do it at your fattest.
Honestly, I feel like it makes a bold statement. I think when people see me wearing some shit like I have this one, it's a Power Trip shirt, and it's just so fucking loud and bright. And I'm walking around that, and I'm like, dude, I'm literally like, you know how like the last generation of them was like meth head in a cut off Metallica shirt outside the single wide. That's me now. That's what I am.
Well, I'm very proud of you and everything that you're doing. Honestly, everything that you do in your life, I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you.
Thank you. God, that was so fun. Dude, sometimes you say some really sweet shit, and I don't know what to...
We already talked about this. The whole point of the podcast is for just me to give you compliments.
You flatter me, and me plug my Twitter. I'm not going to flatter you back, but I will plug my Twitter, which is Scented Glad Bag.
That is the whole reason that this podcast exists. This is the Pat Show. I didn't even actually start the first 2 episodes by myself. It was secretly all a plan by Pat. He's like, hey, Christian, go ahead and do the first 2 episodes. Do them as serious as you can, and then let me join in the third episode so I can just make it funny and plug my Twitter constantly.
It wasn't on video back then, so just so you know, he was talking to a microphone, as he said, but I was in the back corner, like, pointing to a sheet of paper, like, come on.
Yeah.
I was helicopter momming the fuck out of you.
He had a club on his belt, and he was just and every time I'd like divert from the topic, he would just pull the club out and start like smacking it on his hand.
Speaking of which, I found an illegal piece of weaponry I have. My
That's not
uncle,
surprising.
my Uncle John, he was a cop way like in like I think in like, God, it had to have been like the 60s. He was 60s, 70s. He was a cop.
God, that sounds terrible.
And he had a billy club, which back then they have their little clubs now, like the ones that extend.
Yeah, like the sticks.
It was a solid. It was like a miniature baseball bat. Like it's got a small handle and a wide body, and it weighs like 10 pounds.
Was he here, like local?
Yeah, he was. He's not going anywhere but here. Or wasn't going to. But he had that, and I found it one, and I'm like, Dad, what's this? And he's like, oh, that's an old police billy club. Those are illegal now. So probably some real racist shit happened with that.
Yeah, I was about to say there was probably some dramatic stuff, especially because the area that we live in.
Keep in mind, I'm obviously like. I'm from the South, and I'm like the whitest, most pale dude ever. So you can imagine what like the generations before in the South were like. And I'm just thinking, like, yeah, he was a cop in that time, probably.
Well, I don't know how accurate this fact is, but supposedly the school district that I went to was the last school district to desegregate in America.
Wait, well, in Mansfield?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I've heard that. I never confirmed that, so don't hold me to it.
Yes, sorry, Mansfield ISD, if that's if
but
we threw you under there.
also go fuck yourself, Mansfield ISD.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
I'm done with you. I'm done with you. But
Shouts out Martin High School.
fuck Arlington school districts too.
Sure.
But yeah, that was.
I had a blast.
Did you really?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I enjoyed it because I think I was really weird. I wanted to grow my hair out and be like cool rock and roll dude, but the problem with that is my hair is Shirley Temple spiral staircase curly. So I grew my hair out and it was literally like beautiful golden swirls coming down my hair, but I thought it looked so cool.
Dude, I love old pictures of you.
Okay, yes, you've seen it.
They're so good.
And so I was a weird dude, but I had a lot of fun because I think everyone just would be friends with the big goofy dude. So honestly, I had a blast for the most part.
I had fun, but I was just like, I was one of those kids that I just fucking hated school.
You were there also for like a root tootin' ass whooping, like Roadhouse time.
Not really. I mean, like, here's the thing. When I went to school, my problem with school, honestly, was that, like, I just never thought it did anything for me. Like, every time we'd have a new lesson or, like, I just kind of caught on early that it was all kind of bullshit and I would never use it. Like, in the future. Like, once we started doing algebra and shit, like,
I use the quadratic formula in my marketing job every day.
I was like, I'm never going to fucking need to know this shit ever again.
What are those things called where we did them on the graphing calculator, but it was like a curve that you had to figure out.
Like sine and cosine and shit like that? And tangents?
It had something, I can't remember what the term is for, like, the blanket term, all that. By the way, I might pop a titty out a couple times on the cast.
Yeah, he's definitely going to pop a titty out a few times.
Because when I cut my Tough Boy shirts, I cut them inwards because I want everyone to see it all. All right, but Fuck, what was I talking about?
You were talking about the quadratic formulas and shit like that.
Oh yeah, in my marketing job where I'm basically on Amazon all day, yeah, I use the quadratic formula every single day. I use a lot of geometry.
I would love to, honestly, I would love to meet somebody who actually uses the shit that you learn in high school on a daily basis.
Well,
Dude, because, like, I even have, like, engineer friends that don't even fucking use the physics that we took, like, AP classes, and they don't even use the physics from our AP classes.
Because I guess it is good to know the skill at its core, but that's also at the same time being like, hey, you have to know how to build a computer to work on
Right.
like literally on an operating system.
Right. Dude, I just feel like with schooling, like especially in Texas, you know, we both grew up in Texas, you know, our whole lives, and like they're so set on what they have to teach here because it's all based around. We have the standardized test that we had it forever. It used to be called TOS.
Okay, so I was about to ask if you remember TOS.
Oh yeah,
because I was in third grade.
I
when
had
it
to
was
take TOS,
and then
tax for basically the whole time that we were in school, and then it turned into the STAR. I think
Yeah.
after we left.
I think it's something else now even.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. My dad's a teacher. I should probably know that. But no, yeah, like so they have to teach based off of these stupid fucking tests, and like my personal philosophy is you can't teach every fucking kid the same. So like having everybody sit in a classroom like focused on these standardized tests is fucking stupid.
They've already said that like standardized tests don't really teach you anything. Like you can memorize the color green and call it
Right.
green, but you don't know why it's the color green. You know, it doesn't teach
Yeah.
you shit. And so that's I think part of the reason that my sister stopped being a teacher
Mm-hmm.
because she's just getting fucking bitched at by parents all day, and then on top of that, you know, kids are running amok, and then on top of that, she'd be like, why did I go through all this training? Like, what's my purpose here? I'm not teaching
Right.
anything. I'm literally being like, hey, memorize these answers.
So I wonder if you're like me, so for me, I can't learn something unless I'm genuinely interested in it. Because I'll fucking study my dick off if I'm interested in something. But like, if I'm not interested in it, I cannot study. Like, I can't get into it at all.
Yeah, well, we're exactly the same in that. And I talked to I feel like that's a lot of people, but I feel like with
But
me,
like, I straight up can't fucking like. I can't study for anything I'm
Yes.
disinterested in. Like I can't even
I
open
can't
a
even
book.
do it. Yeah.
I can't do it at all.
I can do like guerrilla botany, and like I can be so interested in that, like
Right.
or even like fixing cars and building stuff. But like literally, like, and I talked to I was listening just to recap, like kind of see our progression. I listened to the 90/90 episode for a while too, and I talked there about how like I finally went to see a therapist at one point, and we talked about how literally like he even noticed that like if I'm not hyper interested in something, I literally can't hold.
Dude.
I'm not going, and I get that it's everybody, but
No, but I
just
mean,
can't
some
do
people
it.
can. I know plenty of people who can like power through and like
And
you
still
know,
do it.
Like they'll intake the information and then regurgitate it on the test, and then they can move past it. I can't even do that shit.
I don't
like,
absorb it. It just deflects
like,
off me, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like the only reason I really ever passed classes was because I was good at taking tests, which is fucking stupid. I never gained any knowledge. I was just good at taking tests. Like I could guess properly, basically, is what that was.
Mom and Dad, I hope you never hear this. And also, Mr. Hughes, you were the best math teacher I've ever had, but I gotta break it to you. The way I passed those classes was an organized cheating ring. And you think that your different periods and different classes don't communicate? No, we knew if the questions were going to be in a different order from test to test. We knew what was going to be the same. We knew what the quizzes were going to be like, and everyone had copies and a silent schedule on how they passed them around. So I
had
passed those
so many
classes
classes
by
like that. I had
cheating.
so many classes like that, dude. Especially senior year. I was talking to somebody. I can't remember who, but I was talking to somebody the other day about my senior year of high school because it was literally like I took. You know, I was the first year where you had to take all 4 years of science and all 4 years of math.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was me. My year was the first year, but I took algebra in 8th grade, which counted as the high school credit for
Yeah.
algebra. So I did that, and then I took 2 science classes my junior year. So my senior year, the only actual classes that I had to take was I had to take my computer credit, which was I took a computer programming class.
Yeah.
And like it was one of those things where everything is a program on the computer. Like it's one of those like it's basically Jumpstart, but a little bit like, more advanced.
Like, what do they call those little tablets that like the frog was a logo?
Leapfrog. Yeah, it was like Leapfrog, but for basically learning fucking C#. But yeah, so I powered through the whole program in like a month. And I just fucking, dude, I didn't do shit after that. The other classes that I had was like, so you had to take government and economics, and it was like one semester for each one of those. And then you had to take English still that year. But like, and then like my other classes was like, I had our senior release, which was like our version of like, they have it elsewhere. I think, did you guys have like a senior release thing?
Yes.
It's like the period that you can just leave.
Dude, I was about to, like, my senior year, and don't let me let this distract you, because I remembered we were going to talk about cheating, but I'll get into my schedule in just a second. But yeah, we had that.
What was it called?
Just free off period.
Off
just
period,
free, yeah.
Free period, yeah. So we had that. It was called senior release, and then I had I was the nurse's office aide. Like, I was the office
So you
aide
sat there.
for the nurse. Yeah, so I literally just sat there. I do have some good stories from being the nurse's office aide, though. But yeah, I just sat there and
Like
like
vomit and shit. And
after a while, the nurses were just like, Christian, you don't have to come in, because I had it in the morning, because I took my senior release in the afternoon because I was working at the time.
yeah.
So the nurses were just like, Christian, you don't have to come in if you don't want to. Like, we don't really need you around at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, you're fine. Like, you don't have to be here. But I would just go in anyway, because like I couldn't, like, when I woke up in the morning, like, I don't know if you're like that, but like when I wake up in the morning, I have to get up and I can't relax for like a couple more hours.
Yeah,
like,
I can't.
It takes me a while to like chill back out. So I would take like, this was like, I think the DS had recently come out, like when I was in high school. Like it had been out for maybe a couple years.
It came out 2004, just for your.
Oh shit! I completely forgot about that. But this was pre 3DS.
Yeah, no, I had the first DS and I got it right when it came out in 2004.
This was like this was still pre 3DS when I was playing. But I would bring that and just sit in like the the shitty like bed seats that they had in the nurse's office.
That were, dude, so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would just lay on those and play my DS and shit. But yeah, for my other classes, like, it just got to a point where it was like I just had an understanding with my teachers that it was like, hey, I'll take your tests, and if we have projects, I'll do those, but I'm not doing any fucking homework, and I'm probably not gonna try that hard. So, it's fucking senior year. Don't give me shit about it.
They let, I guess, because there were so many people at my high school. I mean, like your high school was massive. My high school was massive.
Yeah, my graduating class was like 900 something.
Yeah,
people.
mine too. Yeah, like it was just something like around 1,000. Just like like we both had a giant graduating class. We were a massive school, and Martin was all under one roof. But like I remember, there were so many kids there, and probably the same at your school, that I could have sat there and just I could have just not done. I could have slept on my desk and they would have pushed me through the system.
Yeah.
But my senior year, dude, I didn't have to take those core classes my senior year.
Yeah, because you got the lucky last year
dude.
that didn't have to take basically
I didn't even know that they had to do that after me.
Yeah,
but
it was literally the year after you graduated.
like all schools.
Yeah.
Dude, so we had block scheduling, which was so fucking awesome. It was 8A and B-Day.
Yeah, we had 8A and B-Day
My
too.
8A, dude, literally, I would go into journalism, which actually, I had a really great journalism teacher, so that class was kind of, like, challenging. No, it wasn't journalism, it was newspaper. So, like, I had to, like, get advertisements, and I had to, like, do interviews. I actually interviewed, by the way, Lucas Starr, rest in peace, from Oh Sleeper.
Wow.
I interviewed him for my school paper when Son of the Morning came out. And we talked about the album and everything, and I remembered him forever, how, like, I was a kid, but he still very much didn't make me feel like one of those punishing fans. He literally was just like, dude, I could not say enough good things about that guy, and it's extremely, that's how it goes,
Yeah,
but
it's always the good ones. Yeah.
So I had newspaper, and then after newspaper, dude, I had my AEG internship.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
and that was double blocked. So I had newspaper, and then I was out to school the rest of the day, and I'd leave at lunch, whatever. They didn't care.
I had a double block class too. I didn't even mention.
Yeah, was it off campus, or was it band, or?
No, it was radio.
So, dude, but it literally,
The origins of this podcast actually start from me being in radio class in high school.
well, so you know what it's like when you have those double block classes, like you're doing your class, but especially senior, dude. When I was a senior, I was peace out that whole year. I was literally playing in like 4 bands, just playing Halo 3 with my friends all day. Like,
yeah, I was working, playing music, because that's when we started hanging out. Was like a lot.
Well, those were the warehouse days. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and my radio class, how it worked was it was double blocked.
Same day, or
yeah. And what it was supposed to be was that you kind of go in for an hour, and 1 hour is like doing a radio show, because they had a radio station there.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was supposed to be doing like making bumpers and stuff like that, and like, basically just the grunt work that goes into doing radio. But I would just go in and either take up the whole time doing the show because people didn't want to go on the radio anymore, because like I didn't have that many people in my class, but not a lot.
Did you have a transmitter? Like, were y'all like on the air?
Yeah, it was an actual station. It was the Wild, and I'm trying to remember the actual station code. It was like,
really, good morning.
Oh yeah, it was 99.9 the Wild. It was the station, and so like literally, what I would do is I would go in, and like they had an actual studio, like a nice, like legit studio, and I would go in, and whoever wanted to be with me, I would just run the board in the computer, and have the mic and just talk for like 5 seconds and then play a song and then talk for another little bit and then play a song. What was funny though is I think he's still in Bloodline. But Jake Jones?
Yeah, he's still in it. Yeah,
he plays bass for Bloodline. So that's how I met Jake. Was he was in my radio class, and him, and this other girl who actually dated our friend Ty for a while. We had a radio show called The Ruckus. That was like, we were the Ruckus on 99.9 The Wild or whatever.
Hold on, I'm about to live tweet him on air. I'm going to tweet him and I say, hold on, bear with me.
Yeah, ask him if he remembers the Ruckus.
Keep talking about it, but okay, so Jake Bloodline. All right, so what would you think if I said something about a radio show called The Ruckus?
Yep, the Ruckus.
Hell yeah.
There's no way he remembers that, dude. He's like 15 at a time. But yeah, like, and he had like a little segment.
What was the calling card? It was 99 what?
99.9 the Wolf, or the Wild, I believe.
99.9 the Wolf.
No, yes, 99.9 the Wild. But yeah, so like we had the radio show, and he had a segment where he talked about a metal song. I can't remember what the fucking segment was called, but like we made him a little intro with a I want to say that it was like maybe like a Born of Osiris song or some shit like that.
It wasn't the fucking bow down.
No. It was like, it might have even been. When did Periphery become a band?
Okay, Periphery was a band pretty much all of high school, but they got more popular because they put out that debut album like probably my senior year.
It might have been right around when it might have been a Periphery song right when they were getting big, and like because like we would make the bumpers, so we would just take a snip out of a song, and there was this song I'm like 80% sure it was a Periphery song where it just had like a fading in guitar part that was like really fucking heavy.
Probably.
But it was like that, and then it'd be like, it's time for Jake's Metal Corner or whatever it was.
Oh, I wonder if it was Icarus was a...
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, so he had like that little segment, dude, and we had actually a really good time like doing that. And then I think it was second semester I got switched into a different class, so I didn't get to do that show with him. But dude, especially that second semester, I would just go in and either I would run the radio show the whole time, or I'd do my hour and then I'd just bounce and just like
you can't tell a senior in high school really shit because they've already passed. And my A-Day, which was newspaper internship. My B-Day, dude, was photography. That teacher actually passed away. One of the best teachers I ever had named Mr. Regalado, and his wife was my newspaper teacher. They had conjoined classrooms.
Nice.
And so I had his class, and then I had English, and then I had some other blow-off class, and then I was gone. So, dude, school was just nothing my senior year. It was nothing at all. But yeah, it's funny that I was just reading a tweet from Joe from Bloodline. He tweeted, "Who's your favorite member of Bloodline?" It's Jake. Just say it's Jake. Like basically, like, I know it's Jake.
I completely forgot that he was still playing with them. Like,
yeah, they got signed, dude.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
What's funny is like I still think of Jake as like that kid. Like even when I was like around him at shows and stuff like that.
Well, he was the metal one.
Yeah, well, because like it was a weird connection because I knew him from high school. And I didn't really know him from shows, and then he started coming around and playing shows because he was in a band with my roommate that I lived in that apartment with. But it was before we lived in the apartment.
Wait, what were they called again? Was it Supremacy?
Yeah, Supremacy.
Jake was in Supremacy?
He played bass for them. But yeah, so that melding of worlds was really fucking weird when he started.
Yeah.
Because he was young. He was younger than us. He was 15 when we were doing radio together, and so he was just kind of starting to come in.
I always thought he was like your age, but
no, he's younger. Yeah.
Funny thing about Periphery, just kind of a sidetrack real quick, is they're actually very few degrees of separation from Findings. Did you know that?
No.
So, Spencer Sotelo, the singer of Periphery, for a very short period of time, fun fact, was the vocalist of Speak Now Against the Day. Did you not know this?
I did not know that at all.
So for the Pure Volume, before Pure Volume changed and fucked themselves over, changed themselves to like a news music format thing, the demos were still out there. I'm pretty sure those were the ones that he was on. But yeah, Spencer Sotelo was in Speak Now Against the Day in the very early versions of it.
That's
and
nuts.
so I remember Joe.
Is he the one that's on those old recordings?
Well, like the Texas, not the. Oh God, I can't remember what the names of the songs are, but yeah,
like the super old ones, like way before they did.
the ones that sounded like they were
You
done
Me,
on like
You
a
Again.
yeah, like the ones that sounded like they were because before that it was what's his name from With Shaking Hands. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I cannot believe I'm forgetting his name. Tyler, I think, or.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Damn, that's so horrible because
I know,
I've known that guy. I've known that guy for fucking 10 years, and I'm forgetting his name just on the spot. But yeah, it was before. It was before the guy that was before Eric, and they just had a bunch of different random vocalists all the time. But I think Joseph was telling me about how Periphery didn't want him for a while, and then at some point. They just did some demos with him, and Joseph says that he was getting to hear like the early versions of his like Icarus Lives and the songs that he was on. So I thought that was really cool. But and Speak Now Against the Day, once they dissolved, became what became Findings. So it's like very, very few degrees of separation between Findings and Periphery.
That's so fucking weird. Dude,
I can't believe you didn't know that, dude.
That just goes to show, though, man, like that era of music, like basically from like the mid 2000s all the way up to like 2013 or so, there were some fucking talented ass kids, like even the ones that didn't make it, because we have some great bands out here that didn't make it. You know, Kubla Khan's great and Fit's great and everything like that. But there were so many people. Like even so, the band that I joined for like 3 months before I moved up to Denton to go to UNT, they had, well, you know, they had a singer and they had like a version of the band before we had our version of the band. And dude, that kid as a singer was an amazing singer.
Yeah. Wait, he's not. Is he doing? Actually, I think he's in some decently known something or other now. He? Yeah.
I have no idea. I barely even know the guy. I think I've met him like twice.
Yeah, I didn't know him at all, but I just knew, of him.
But even just in that band, because like, I mean, of course, we've talked about Hunter, our friend Hunter before, and Hunter has gone on to be like pretty decent and resonates good. Like,
dude, he joined Absence of Mind, which just put out like a game changer record. So
really?
Listen to Absence of Mind's new album.
Oh yeah. And then Tanner was in that band for a little while, and he went on to do Seeker for a while. And
dude, the old Seeker stuff, like I don't like the chaotic like new Seeker. The old Seeker when Tanner was in it was so fucking. Dude.
Well, dude, even I mean, for the 5 seconds that he was in it, Hunter Fitch. Do you remember Hunter Fitch?
Yeah, that's who I thought we were talking about a second ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Hunter Alley. We were talking about earlier.
No, I knew that. No, I knew we were talking about Hunter Alley, but when we were talking about like the vocalist that you'd only met a couple times, I thought that's who you're talking about.
No. I know Hunter Fitch very well. I used to hang out with him all the time.
Oh, okay.
Because he went on to be in that Mount Tybert band.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
No, I'm talking about Evan.
Dude.
Because they sent me that demo that they did before.
The Perceptions demo?
Yeah.
Dude,
and he's such a fucking good singer.
Oh, dude, I remember like even their little band. I met Hunter Ali when he was like when 13, he was like 13, yeah. But even back then, like, dude, Tuesday Aggression, they were so good. Like in a sea of like really shitty little metalcore bands that were all playing together at the same time, they were so fucking good. And what's funny to think about is I went to the reunion. Dude, so many of these things are over now. I went to the Tuesday Aggression reunion show at Haley's in Denton, and you know who opened for them?
Huh.
The second show ever of Bob and Ryan's Fit for a King.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, I went to their first show in Fit for a King.
I was not.
It was in Waco. I just happened to
there.
be down there. I was going to see. Well, you know, like Jonathan.
Yeah.
He was in that band Sparkle Motion.
Was Sparkle Motion around then still?
Yeah.
Was he? What about? Cute as a Button was early in high school.
Yeah, Cute as a Button was earlier in Sparkle Motion, and they played that show, and it was in some like I think it was a church, but it was in Waco. And I just remember that being their first show because Ryan did a fucking wall of death in their first show.
What was it, like 13 kids?
No, they
Really?
had a really fucking decent audience there.
I guess pre Bob and Ryan, I remember the kids used to fuck shit up for them, and like Tyler, like there was
Dude, yeah, Better Than You played with them a couple times.
wasn't the version of Findings before, like one show before I started on that show too.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I remember going to a show even like, because I used to hang out with this band from here called Mouth of the South a lot, and they would play with Mott's like all the time back in those days.
Dude, how funny. It's weird. I remember seeing Fit at Molly's when, God, I'm trying to remember who the vocalist was. Alex something was their vocalist. Anyway, we devolved big time.
Yeah,
here.
we're going into memories of memories.
Back into memories of music like usual, but
we started talking about fucking Jake Jones because we were in radio class together.
But like, so back to like high school, dude, it was at that point, I don't remember why we got into that even, but it was just so easy. And unfortunately, I think that probably fucked with my work ethic as an adult in some ways, unless I was doing something I was interested in. Like instead of being like forced to study and having a really hard junior and senior year, I just kind of got to do whatever. So now it's like I have to be doing something like music, or I have to be literally building something, or I'm again really into growing plants. But
I just wish I had gotten a better handle on what I wanted to do back then, because like that whole period from like 15 to about 20, I thought I was going to be in a touring band, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And I was really interested in radio. Like once again, that's kind of how this podcast in a way started, because I really liked doing that type of stuff. But I was so committed to trying to be in a touring band, and like
that's all I cared about.
I wanted to do that so bad. But I wish I had a little bit more perspective back then, and like I still don't think I'd give a shit about school necessarily, but I wish I had a little bit more, I don't know, focus.
Maybe. I think that all of us, I think our theory was that if we put all of our eggs in that basket and didn't, like, there's this old Travis Barker quote where he's like, "Oh, I got tattoos all over my body because that way I couldn't have a backup option."
Have a regular job,
so I think that's kind of like all of our thoughts were we wanted to do that so bad. And I mean, we tried pretty hard, but it's just we didn't even think about like, oh, maybe I should already be into something. Marketing is something that I was kind of already doing, but I didn't give a shit about it. I was doing it because I was in an internship that got me to go to concerts, you know. Honestly, I would say even now, I don't even really know where anything's going. You know, like I'm not like, dude, right now I work for a company that I work in marketing, selling a product.
Well,
I'm not a salesman, by the way. I fucking hate salesmen.
Neither of us are salesmen. We both work in marketing. I think it was easy to fall into marketing for us though, because like we kind of grew up in that era of like we always were marketing. We just didn't know it, because like we marketed our bands and we marketed ourselves as musicians for a long time, and like I haven't really connected those dots until recently that like I remember, because like before I started the podcast specifically, I'd kind of been on like a bit of a social media hiatus, like not fully, but just like I wasn't focused on it.
You were making a big statement about it, like social media is rotting our minds.
Yeah,
which, I mean, it totally is, by the way, but
yeah.
it wasn't a statement. I think you were just like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I was just like way backed off of it. But coming back to it, you know, I realized that a lot of what I did back in the day of you know, whatever my high point of activity on the internet, like I'd say at least 65% of it was like trying to push music and
shamelessly
like,
I did that.
Super, like I remember even like with the band After Findings downstairs, like for some reason we had caught on Tumblr. Like,
yeah, I remember
very
that.
weirdly, and I was really heavy onto Tumblr at the time, just trying to push the shit out of that little 4-song that we did.
I remember too back then. Boosted ads were not a part of social media yet.
Yeah.
So, dude, if you had 3,000 likes, that's a free 3,000 person reach.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I can't get mad at them for capitalizing on that because, you know, it made them billions of dollars. But we literally used to be able to put out something and it would instantly be in front of everyone's face. If someone liked our page, they would see it, and it was so fucking easy back then.
I tell you what, though, if they keep going the route that they're going, our jobs now are going to be obsolete here in the next few years. Because like, how do you do a whole lot in paid social?
Not in paid social, but dog, I work in Amazon.
Well, yeah, you work in Amazon,
but I'm doing everything I do is I would say 90% of what I do is running campaigns and managing them and all
Right.
these other things. Yeah, so
Dude, like, if you pay attention to like Facebook specifically, even like LinkedIn and stuff like that, the updates that they do, every time I read an update from them, it fucking freaks me out more and more because
yeah.
like they do stuff to make it like purposefully harder to advertise.
So you have to spend more.
Right, but I think what that's going to lean towards is that eventually, once the AIs finally catch up with the level of intelligence and the technology catches up all the way, I think everything is going to be just auto done by their AI. They're going to input into their AI, certain parameters, and there's going to be no.
Like it's automatic.
Yeah,
Well, at that
I
point,
mean,
what's the point?
It's kind of already like that now.
Well, it used to be okay. Like whenever we first were doing the township thing, we weren't doing it seriously, but we had Corel here, and we were like playing shows. And we wanted to get people to hear stuff more. I remember I was able to do a boost set out then, and that was only 2 years ago. And a boost set out then, you could target a 55-year-old man whose favorite color was blue and voted for George Bush in 2001. You know what I mean? Like, but now it's like 2 or 3, like it's way more generalized, I guess, because of the Cambridge Analytica thing. But still, that doesn't mean that it's going to be extremely automated. But at that point too, if it is all automated, then what's the point of even people doing it? Because you still have to have somebody there that's like, okay, put money in that right there.
Because there's nothing else to it anymore. Everybody uses the internet so much that, like, dude, it's like, our company that we got introduced into the marketing field together, one of their big things was phone books, and that was like how you learned about shit back in the day.
Well, if you needed somebody, you did that, and you had to look for it and call several people. Now it's at your fingertips.
Yeah, now it's literally all the internet, and like I said, it's just a matter of time for when these AIs kind of catch up to where I think that I want to think that they'll still try to do like ads, but the thing is, when you make people pay for stuff like that and you don't give genuine results, and that's kind of the thing that I've noticed a lot lately. Even with the podcast, like I've tried.
Facebook gets me nothing, dude. Every time I do it at work, Facebook gets me not shit.
Dude, I've tried to boost a couple times, and the feedback that you always get is like engagements or impressions, but that doesn't fucking mean anything.
Yeah.
Like impressions doesn't really mean anything. It means like somebody saw this like for 5 seconds.
That literally
or
could have been
whatever.
in passing. Because also, I think like on most things to count as like a visit or a click, they don't have to be there for more than like 3 seconds or something.
Dude, even video views on Facebook. I stopped putting our videos on Facebook. One, because it was getting to be a little annoying because their video system is not as good as YouTube's basically for like uploading and stuff like that. But also, a view counts as 3 seconds. So when I see that number of views, like one of the things that I boosted was a video. And like, dude, we got like 700 views on that video, but none of them transitioned to listeners.
Yeah, and there was one time, I think it was...
Which that could be our fault too. For being that
I mean, maybe
interesting.
we're just not as interesting as, that's any podcast. So, like, I listen to my favorite... Like, there's even weeks at Chris D'Elia, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
But, I've noticed that too, and especially with things crossing over, like Instagram being a part of Facebook, there used to be an option where you could also cross-platform that boost onto Instagram. That's gone now, I believe.
No,
But
I think you can still do it.
whenever I did that, though, it would get us like 150 likes on a picture, but just 2 likes on the page,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because I guess when it's in passing, and also it takes me more than 3 seconds to figure out if I want to be watching said video or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's somebody way smarter than us out there who has the ticket. I think the problem is that you have to be the whole package right off the bat. And so for guys like us who are just barely starting and didn't know anything about podcasting before we started, don't really know anything about video editing, don't know anything about audio very much, like it's not conducive for people who are just starting out because like that you need time to get your feet underneath you.
You also have to figure out what your image is, or even like we talked about personal brand a long time
Right.
ago. Like I think Tyler, who was our first guest on here, he was talking about one time how he had a friend who put everything he had into starting a gaming YouTube channel, and I mean they spent a ton of money on it. They put all in there, but they didn't really have their flow. They didn't really have their sound yet. They were still saying just like, if we say an inside joke, we fucking overly explain it, but like they just didn't really get how to talk to an audience, so nobody gave a shit about it, and it was a huge waste of money.
Right.
So it's like, if right now, yeah, we could go run $1,000 paid ad, but that doesn't necessarily mean anyone's going to give a shit. And if anybody does listen to this, if there are two people you out there, please tell us what catches your little eyeballs.
Yeah, I definitely want to get more like listener engagement. Obviously, we need more listeners, but
You know what has helped? Actually, whenever I retweet our polls onto my Twitter, which is @ScentedGladbag, just saying, we proved it today.
I know I don't like that is an actual
I
thing.
bet you're mad that works.
I am mad that works. But dude, also like the stuff that does work and like because we have a Reddit account and a subreddit. Like we just made it. If anybody ever wants to talk shit about the show, basically you can go on the subreddit. It's our apathetic podcast.
Yeah. Is it apathetic? Oh, no, I'm thinking of pathetic streams. Or
That's the Twitch. But yeah, so like on Reddit, the only thing that I've had any luck with was I made a meme that had nothing to do with us whatsoever. It was a Kingdom Hearts meme, and that was like the only thing that I got like any type of traction on at all, and it only got like a couple hundred upvotes. But
it's hard for me though because like we can get that type of response, but like unless somebody says something crazy and I'm like, this person probably has some interesting posts, I rarely go and click to see what they're about. Like I rarely do that, so that's why it almost feels like it does. If you do get people to post your subreddit, usually you have to have a small following first, and then you can use that for free content.
Yeah,
like PewDiePie does. Actually, another good friend of ours from the Music Times, Dylan. I'm not going to say his last name in case he hides it, but Dylan goes by Yub Plays on
Yub,
like YUB Plays, and he has almost 400K followers, I think, right? Or it might be more than that now. Like he has when he got the 200K plaque. He didn't know if they were going to put the name on it, and which is a huge fucking accomplishment to get a plaque from YouTube at all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeez, my phone is lighting up. So to get that, he literally just to be stupid, instead of putting his name, instead of putting his like his username or anything, he wrote butt hair. So he got a plaque. He got a plaque in the mail, and he's like, "Oh God, my wife is going to be so mad at me if I put all this into this." And it just says butt hair. And he pulls it out, and he just starts laughing. It's just like a YouTube plaque, and it just says butt hair under it. And it's just like, dude,
that's dope.
That is dope because that's something I would do. I'd be like, "Hey, let me make fun of this thing. It's supposed to be like a major accomplishment." But that was a couple years back, and he's been steadily growing. And he has a legit fan base that posts to his Reddit and everything. He gets content from them and everything. And I just think it's crazy how like we know someone in a completely different way that has done that.
That's weird.
But he's not a podcaster though. He's like he's like a gamer, like age 12 demographic, like say Frick.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything of his. I'll need to sub to him.
He's actually, dude, he's very well known on there. Like he has diehard fans and stuff. Like he's got merch and shit.
Let's spam him, dude. We'll use the Apathetic Podcast YouTube to spam him all the time.
God, I'm down.
Dude, let's just So we know him from playing music, obviously. What we need to do is find an old link of his band, and just every video that he posts, just comment the link.
What's funny though is that he doesn't hide that stuff. He actually has he didn't delete his old videos because I subscribed to him. I've had my YouTube channel since I'm not sure, account is a channel, but I've had my account since 2005. Oh, so I followed him when we were all playing shows together, and those are like old skateboarding videos or like little vlogs for his band or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I don't think he's deleted them yet, but it really used to just be his old videos. And then at one point he started doing the game content, and he didn't have many followers, but people slowly started watching. He started increasing his production value, and now he's really doing it. Like that's his job, or at least most of his job, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's dope.
But he's also not a podcast. I'm sure it's a little bit
harder.
His band,
by the way, 3 of the sweetest human beings on the face of the planet.
Yeah, dude. I was talking about them the other day.
They're so nice. But, yeah, so, God, we always do this. We're going to talk about something today, and then we just go
Welcome to Patrick Brain.
Way off the fucking rails. But yeah, I think now that we've fucking opened the can of worms of all that shit, we need to talk about the fucking Balthazar documentary because it was
Go Off King.
Dope. It was dope. I mean, here's the thing. whether I believe it or not, because I talked about a lot in the last episode about how kind of how life works for me and how I feel comfortable about stuff is I'm very cool with not knowing, you know what I mean? I don't need to know anything like that, but it is so cool to hear somebody be like, oh yeah, dude, they're absolutely fucking flying saucers and shit like that.
Well, my only, because this is me and I have to complain, the only thing that I didn't like about the documentary is that parts of it were so like dramatic and suspended that I'm
Right,
like, that I'll be like,
right.
okay, this is
And
not real.
that was definitely like the choice of the filmmaker for sure. And by the way, we're just talking like everybody knows what this is.
Oh, okay. Bob Lazar is a gentleman who was working for not at Area 51, but within the same
S4.
facility. Yeah, and he, while working there, I guess saw a lot of things that had to do with UFOs and this type of thing. And whenever he at some point just started saying what he knew, which I mean it puts a huge target on your back. But what was crazy is that some of the things that he said existed, came to existence, such as like the specific type of hand scanner and like that element. We'll go into that. But he has these little bits of truth that have come out that make you think like, oh, this guy might actually know something. But also on the flip side, he could just know those things,
Right.
and so everything else is back upable. But he doesn't strike me as like a psychopath, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's the thing too, is like, I can definitely understand why people would be like, I don't really believe this guy, because like that type of stuff, it does seem so far fetched. Like, that there's 9 alien spacecraft in Nevada, and they've been able to keep it completely secret since like the 50s or whatever. Like, it just doesn't seem that possible. But at the same time, I wouldn't put it past people to be.
It
able
could
to
even
do
be
type of shit like
repurposed
that.
now. Like, say
Right.
back in the day, like that stuff was on there. It was guardable because nothing can be. I mean, of course, things can be secret, duh. But I mean, I think that it would be absolutely foolish to think that there weren't some funny things that we haven't been told. And for the record, as we discussed a long time ago, I'm a crazy person. I'm a conspiracy theorist guy. I also wholeheartedly believe in extraterrestrial life forms.
Well,
but
I don't think it's that weird to believe in extraterrestrials, whether it be like in the sense of like
Well, little green men,
microorganisms or little green men. I don't think it's that weird to think that, because
I think it'd be foolish not to, with the
Right.
fact that we're finding these exoplanets and we don't even know how vast the universe is. So how could you say,
theoretically the universe is infinite?
Yeah.
And if the universe is infinite, you're telling me in complete infinite space there does not exist
our grain of sand of a solar system is nothing?
That fucking makes no sense, especially because they do find like probably habitable planets pretty frequently, like NASA does.
Yeah.
Like periodically you'll hear news stories where they're like, oh, we found a new planet that could be habitable. We found a new planet that could be habitable. It's like, if those planets do exist, if there's water on other planets, it's not fucking crazy to think that even if there isn't water, it's like, it's not crazy to think that even life exists in a completely different way. I don't think it's that weird to think.
Jason, who I talked about at work, he had a really interesting point. He was saying, what if, how like we're getting towards things where like the world is, climate change is happening. Well, he's not a big climate change guy, but that's another time, a topic for another time. But he was talking, what if at some point, like human beings, they basically find another home and then they just evolve differently on that home? And maybe what if humans are like a universal species?
Yeah.
And they evolve differently based on, like, say there's sulfur in the air all over this place, but they've adapted to it, or maybe
Right.
the conditions make them look weird. But I think that those are all really unique things to think. And I don't know if we've had like contact or anything, but I do think that like there's got to be some bacteria somewhere on it,
It just definitely it doesn't make sense to me that there would be infinite space and nothing else in there. I mean, I can also like, I can sympathize or empathize or however you want to say it with people who, like, I feel like a lot of people have this whole like, we need to be the only thing because we're special type thing, especially like, not to get into it, but like I feel like religious people are like that a lot, where it's like, we are unique because we are God's creations or whatever, or the God's creation or whatever.
The problem is and I think about this a lot, and we'll go into Bob Lazar in a second, but I think about this a lot. For that to happen, not only would that completely destroy our ideas of how everything is, which is one of the things that you would think that the government might keep it a secret so people don't freak out, like our origin as like the only ones.
Yeah.
But it would also force us to be every nation here to be on the same side,
Right.
And be like,
Well,
we
I
are
think
of Earth.
Well, like going into Bob Lazar, I think his explanations make more sense than that, even because he basically says, so once again, going more into like who Bob Lazar is and like the information about him, he was a physicist who worked on propulsion systems. Like he was known, I guess in his neighborhood, he made like jet cars and
The
shit
rocket
like that.
car, yeah.
The rocket cars. So in his story, he says that he got hired to work on basically to figure out how the propulsion system, like the nitty gritty science details of how the propulsion system on these crafts work. That's like what he was assigned for. And his explanation onto like why he thinks that they wouldn't release the information is because basically because how, according to him, how these crafts work is they're able to pretty much create their own gravity.
It's not propulsion from like.
Yeah, it's not like getting pushed.
Yeah.
It's like they're able to create their own gravity, which in turn makes a distortion in space, which it's like the way that he describes it is like you're sitting on one side of the bed and then you put a bowling ball in the middle of the bed.
I was literally about to say that, yeah.
And then you push, and then like when you push down on the bed, the bowling ball goes towards what you push. Like that's how he explains it. But like if that technology did exist and it was to get out that it existed, like I wouldn't doubt that like the economy would completely crash because there'd be no reason for cars. There'd be no reason if we could figure out how it worked. There'd be no reason for.
Also, countries would become the most powerful things. Yeah.
But then it's just one of those things where like I feel like what would happen is the information would disseminate. I mean, it's the same way that the fucking H bomb works. Like in the atomic power works, is the information would come out. There would be one power that would have it, and it would cause fucking chaos for a while, and then the information would start to disseminate and other people would start to figure it out, and then eventually everybody would know it. And I feel like in a lot of ways the way that they do release new technology is kind of meant to subvert that, in the sense that like releasing a new technology as something that is like consumable, like the way that we use phones or communications,
something you can market to where people want it,
right? If you're able to do it slowly that way, then it kind of subverts the whole level of chaos, which I can understand that, and that makes sense to me.
I just think that I think that, and obviously, again, I'm not the one whose pockets this is lining, so it doesn't. Man, I sound crazy as fuck, but I think that
I don't think it's that crazy to think that way, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, and yeah. But I think to halt just what could be light speed progress for such stupid reasons, like they aren't stupid reasons, but on the grand scale, so stupid. Like if we literally could do that and figure out what the next step of humanity is, but instead we're like, I don't think it'd be a little crazy to destroy the economy. Who gives a shit about the economy?
Dude, no, I think there are so many other problems that would come up with it. I really do.
Well, I think that a lot of people wouldn't be able to accept it. Again, like you said, with religion, people would have to accept that maybe that there's a little bit more to that. And then also, like I said, people who have just because it's not just the fact that like certain cultures don't like each other. It's that they are literally, it is ingrained in their mind, and it's ingrained into our mind. You are raised a certain way. Your family, your grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, you all come up in a certain way to see the world a certain way.
Right.
There's no like, let me sit down and talk to you about this. Like that is kind of, it's slowly changing with the internet being a thing, but a lot of those things you wouldn't be able to sit down the whole planet and be like, all right, guys, so let's all think we'll approach this the same way together.
Right. And like the whole concept of mass hysteria and like what could happen just knowing that there are other, like just confirming that there are other species out there or whatever, just that would, I believe, would cause enough mass hysteria for there to be a major purge of civilization.
Think about War of the Worlds, dude. Think about how crazy just from the radio program, them not saying that it was.
Exactly. People were jumping out of the windows and shit like that. So, yeah, I think that it makes sense to hold back that information. I fucking feel terrible for Bob Lazar because from what he says, from his story, once again, this is all regurgitating what Bob Lazar said, whether or not it's factual.
It kind of got our minds going. I mean, Tom DeLonge's supposed to put out his autobiography, by the way.
Oh, shit. But yeah, like, I do feel bad for him because basically he was saying that the reason that he came out with this information was because basically they were over surveilling him to the point where they were like, it seemed like they were probably going to, cut the cord on him. and that's why he came forward
to save his own life.
Yeah, and if that's the truth, man, that fucking sucks. Like, I feel really bad for him. I'm not gonna say it's I'm not gonna say it's 100% truth, but like, if it is, that I would do the same thing. Honestly, fuck it. I would go
Well,
straight to the
gone
media
anyway.
and be like, "Yo, fuck this. Like, I'm not gonna let them kill me." Like, fuck
You know,
it.
he stayed. Did you see that thing where like him and his friend stay strapped with an Uzi or whatever?
Yeah.
So like it's just like Bob Lazar's nerdy ass like shooting an Uzi into a desert or whatever.
Yeah.
But one thing that really interested me, other than the element, other than the hand scanner, which honestly we could go into those, but basically he predicted an element, predicted technology. Didn't
Yeah.
predict, but he said it existed. Everyone denied it. It did.
If you
later.
want to go in that though, like technically, I think it was Arthur C. Clarke predicted the internet.
Yeah, okay.
So, like-
But the thing is, it is a bit of a coincidence. But the one thing that gets me is the fact that he was like, okay, you guys don't believe me? Well, on this day at this time, they're going to be testing these crafts out. Let's go out there.
Right.
And he took them out, and they were like, oh, okay. Literally when he said that it was, they didn't say what the crafts were, but he knew that there was something out there at a certain time. And, there's people that were with him that saw it. And I'm like, I think that solidifies it a little more. But also, there's no way we're ever going to know because we weren't fucking there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like one of those situations that it comes out later on. There have been conspiracy theories that have like MK Ultra technically, I think was.
But that kind of came out to be a little bit true, didn't it?
Yeah. And like the Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that, that was true. And it was a conspiracy theory for a long time, and then some things get declassified eventually. I don't think even if they ever release even if they figure out the science and release the technology, I don't believe that's the type of stuff that would be ever declassified, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess,
Because it would be, we live in, and this goes into the 4th of July because it's all about America. What's up, America?
What the
Love you,
fuck's
dog.
up, America? What the fuck's up, YouTube? What the fuck's up, America?
But yeah, I think that we live in this like America's weird in the sense that I feel like a lot of people need to somewhat at least trust the idea of America because like the American dream and shit like that, it doesn't really exist the way that people think it does.
Well, it
And,
used
like,
to.
Nah, it didn't really then either, though, because if you think about it, like America came up on, basically horrible policies. I mean, half of what made the country powerful in the first place, unfortunately, was slavery. Like, part of the ability to increase, our teeny tiny little band of people shooting each other in Boston to an actual government was on the backs of
It's fucking horrible.
horrible slavery and the horrible even wage working because you had indentured servitude, you had wage working that didn't pay anything. You basically got a penny a day to go work and shit like that.
Indentured servitude also, I mean, there's a lot of things that wouldn't get accounted for because a lot of people still shared the same ideals as they,
Right.
pre the law. But I'm talking more about, like, say, your Irish grandfather that came over here in the 40s and started a general store that became a chain. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, but that's still like it comes at a price that I don't think people like compute into the American dream, which is to get your American dream, you have to crush everybody else's American dream. And that's like...
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess even becoming rich in general, you kind of have to stomp on some heads at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a complete dirty and dark side to that whole concept of American dream. But for a lot of people, if they didn't believe in that, especially in America, dude, it's so noticeable in America because, like, obviously I went out of the country for the first time this year. And in Japan, like, everybody who does a job does it to be the best at that job, and it's noticeable.
Instead of working to achieve the next step, it's more like
exactly.
Like I'm going to be the best at this one fucking thing that I
Right.
possibly can be. Instead of like, okay, I'll do this for a few years so that I can get some money so that I can start this or
Exactly.
build my resume. Or, yeah.
Exactly, because I am 100% a culprit of it. That like all I ever think about is getting to the next step and getting to the next step and getting to the next step, and I know that's like an American thing, and that's part of like the belief in America. And like there are things like this situation that we're talking about that I feel like if if stuff like that came out and it came out that it was America who did it, just that little shred of what's left of people believing in the American dream,
Yeah, say fuck it.
it would get torn.
Yeah.
It would get torn up, and America would be fucked.
But also, much like the fact, I'm not saying this to be funny, much like the fact that I'm down for a silly goose time, I'm also very down for kind of a post-collapse chaos world. And I know, by the way, I know that I don't have this sharp set of skills that would keep me alive in that for very long.
Yeah,
but I'm just down for it.
dead
Oh,
as
dude,
fuck.
I'd be dead so
We'd
quick.
be so dead.
My spoiled, fat, electronic-dependent ass would be dead.
So quick.
And it's like, oh, but you have your dogs to defend you. No, I have a German Shepherd and an English Mastiff, and they're both huge pussies
Oh,
that would
yeah.
never hurt anybody. So
There's no way.
I could grow veggies. There you go.
Yeah,
That's-
which would make you useful, I guess, in that sense. But no, I think I will say that Bob Lazar does interest me because I feel like the science that he says, even if we don't understand it, makes sense to me. Like I feel like even if what he's saying isn't accurate, and he didn't ever see, this element 115 being used to make make anti-gravity or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not impossible. You know what I mean?
It's not, and that's why people still hold value in what those people say, because you're like, oh, if you think about it, maybe.
But I mean, it's the same way too that that's why I have the philosophy to not fuck with people who or not necessarily not fuck with people. I fuck with everybody, but
Yeah, no.
but not judge people for being religious, because who am I to say that that's not real too?
I always say that I don't, although not religious, I don't knock people for being religious. Aside from that, because honestly, neither of us really know.
Exactly.
And then on top of that too, if somebody's going to believe in something as strongly as I don't believe in it, who am I to say that they're wrong?
Right.
But so with that, talking about the technology side of that specifically, that technology that Bob Lazar talks about is exactly what Tom DeLonge talks about in his investment proposal to build a craft. Literally, it's that reverse engineering that technology.
But Tom DeLonge, you have to admit, is also a little nuts.
Dog, yeah, absolutely, but they all are. Trust me, I guarantee you, in 20 years, people are gonna start seeing that he's not as crazy. He is nuts, trust me.
Yeah.
But they're gonna start seeing that he actually knew a little bit what he was talking about. I'm starting to. The more stuff comes out, the more I'm starting to. Especially when people like Bob Lazar back, and I'm just like, I would love to see a podcast where you had Tom DeLonge, Bob Lazar, and Stephen Greer all in a room together.
I don't think people could sit through that though.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a very masturbatory. We're so but the thing is too, there's other people outside of these UFOologists and experts and stuff. There was a guy, I think he was a Canadian politician or something, that I think he was getting really old. He was about to quit, and he was they exist. There's a species called the Greys, and then there's another species, and this was a major press briefing. Nobody really talked about it because I guess you just think it's cuckoo, but it was an official thing.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered his name, because I was watching the video. I was sending it to somebody the other day, probably Jason, and why would he do that? But then again, also, why would these people, if you do get fucked, I'm going to get killed eventually, or I'm going to, or people find out the information and I get killed, what's keeping all these other people's mouths closed? Really, why wouldn't you be whatever, I'm just going to tell everybody?
Well, I think in the documentary, Bob Lazar kind of highlights, I think, why some people would keep their mouths closed, and it's because a lot of, it's at least from the science side of things, and I'm assuming, I said last week, I'm not a science-minded person, I'm not a scientist at all, but I feel like for a lot of people like that, to be able to have the opportunity to work with that type of stuff, you would do anything to be able to keep doing it. You know what I mean?
I guess.
So
yeah.
if all it takes is for me to shut the fuck up, and I can go in and play with alien technology all day, every day, and try to figure out how it works, and I'm a scientist who understands that shit.
I think it was interesting too how we talked about how the government is really interested in his stability, within his family, because I mean, at one point his wife thought he was cheating on her because he couldn't tell her shit.
Right.
So I think it's interesting how I guess he kind of got lucky and gotten in. But I feel like, and for the most part, those people are probably so ridiculously heavily vetted that you make sure that they're the most like stable. Like, all right, what you're about to find out is very shocking. You can't tell anybody, and you just have to actually not.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure the average person that they go for is like single, has no family, has no friends. Like this would be their whole life, basically.
I don't honestly, if that was something that I had to keep secret, I couldn't handle it.
Really?
I could not say anything. And what's funny though is that they probably know though that deep down, if this motherfucker says anything, everyone's gonna think they're a kook anyway. So
Yeah.
whatever.
Weirdly enough, I think I could. Like, obviously it depends on the situation.
That's a different kind of secret. That's not the fact that your buddy boned your other buddy's girlfriend. It's like, oh fuck, I'm
Yeah.
staying out. That's literally like could change the.
I still think I
Respect
could.
on
I still think I
humanity.
could keep it. Because here's the thing. I will say I do have a very negative thing about me, which is I have a hard time caring about everybody as a whole sometimes.
No, I don't. It's just it's exciting, and everything that I hate about my life, or not my life, everything I hate about humanity could be changed with that. I think that people aren't necessarily inherently good, but I think that could change.
But
Yeah.
what I'm saying about myself is basically that I'm selfish in that sense, and like I could keep that secret because I'm selfish. Because once again, if I have the ability to go in and see this shit and know it, and like all I have to do is keep my fucking mouth shut, and I can do this for the rest of my life and enjoy what I do, and obviously they're gonna pay well because it's the fucking government showing you UFOs, then I think I would 100% do it once again because I have that level of being selfish. And I think that's part of what it takes too, is you have to be selfish in that way.
But and then again too, maybe one reason I would be able to is because I know if I were to just be like, anybody listen to me, let me say this, people would be like, look at this fucking whack job, dude. He didn't really know like what he's.
I never have like I always notice like, I mean, they play it up in movies, obviously, but like people, when they have a secret and they feel the urge and it's like, I can't keep this secret anymore, I gotta tell somebody. I don't ever really feel that. Like, every time that I ever tell a secret, it's because I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have like any weird like torturing me inside type of things because I tend not to get myself into those situations, but that's probably why.
Yeah.
Because stuff like that's just kind of.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think I think that it's interesting to think about, and it would be awesome if it was real. But I think that like for the people who like are like hyper vigilant about shit like that, it's not worth like putting yourself through that level of stress to worry about it that much, because there are plenty of people out there that are basically just completely nuts because they think that UFOs exist and that's all they focus about 24/7. And I think that's kind of like a waste of, not necessarily a waste of time because I enjoy thinking about it, but it's certainly a waste of it's a waste of like living your whole life.
Well, like you mean the whole self-induced schizophrenia because you go into an obsession hole?
Yeah, like I feel like, once again, I said this last time, but like, and I've said this. I don't know if I said this exactly last time, but I have said this before. Is like, I feel like the point of life is to just fucking live it, and like if you're spending your time focusing too much on one thing at all, I feel like you're just missing the point.
I saw this I saw this tweet one time, and it was just a dude looking at himself in the mirror, and it was like, do you ever just look at yourself in the mirror and realize like, damn, I'm really in this bitch, like I'm really
Yes.
well, and like I was thinking, I was driving here actually, and I was at an intersection on 360, like to get on 360, and I was just sitting there, and I was looking around like the grass and like all these like just places people work and all these people in cars, and I'm like, dude, why are we doing this? Like, and that sounds like some existential dread thing. It wasn't. It was not. It wasn't. I'm about to blow my brains out type of thought. It was literally like,
I feel like everybody has those thoughts though.
yeah, but I was just chilling there like, dude, what? Like, what the? And it's not like the meaning of life is to share it. It's not that. I'm literally just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, everybody's just working.
Yeah.
You're like, why?
Yeah.
Why? You know what I do? Like, my whole life, dude, is I mean, I do this, but I mean, like, I have fun, but I go to work, I come home to my wife, and I eat some food, drink a couple beers, and I go to sleep. And like, there's no end game. I mean, I can build small end games. Like maybe I want to start a business one day, or maybe I want to build this thing, but there really is no grand scheme there, and I'm not gonna. I think some people they use heaven as that what it is, and that's what keeps them going. But I feel like for someone like me who just doesn't, will never entertain that.
Yeah, the way that I like justify that, like, you know, the way that we live basically is I am spending my time working so that I can make enough money so that I'm comfortable, so that when I do the things that I want to do, I'm not feeling encumbered by anything else.
Yeah, but when the fact that you do those things you want to do, is that why you exist? Just to like, oh, I want to.
I think so.
Go. What do literally? But what's the fucking point? And then you shit out another kid that does the same thing, and I just it seems so like the
yeah, because I think like to think that there's like some fucking purpose behind everything is like it's defeating the purpose.
Then why do we have that instinctual need to have one? Maybe it's because I grew up in the church and maybe I got out of that, so I think about it more.
Well, that's just, I mean, if you want to go into like the instinctual stuff, I mean, that's just fucking genetics. Like it's you instinctually, like inside of your DNA exists to procreate. Every creature exists to procreate.
Well, and
here's the thing: when you think about fucking any other animal in the animal kingdom, they don't give a shit about the meaning of life, and they do the same. They procreate, they eat, they fuck, they fight each other.
They fucking fight. Yeah,
they fucking fight and eat and shit and piss and do all that. But like, I think that what sets humanity apart from that level is that we have the intelligence to not only do what we want to do, but do it in a right way, which is don't fuck with anybody else. Don't steal from anybody. Don't kill anybody. Don't do anything like that, but just do what you want to do and enjoy doing it. And as long as it's not hurting anybody, that should be your whole drive to do anything.
I feel like that's kind of what I feel like that's probably what drives people to turn crazy, because sometimes I think we're this is going to sound, I hope this makes sense. We're just basically a walking meat sack who's got a set of moral rules that are based on chemical reactions that we all happen to be having.
Right. But I think even that's overthinking it. You know what I mean?
But like on a literal level, that's literally it. Like,
yeah, that is literally it. But this is why I have like the philosophy that I do of just like the point of life is to live it, is because.
Hey, will you get that please in a curly font and printed vinyl on your wall above your backsplash?
I gotta get it on my chest. The point of life is to live it in like really like fancy cursive.
Dude. Monster tattoo on your fucking neck.
But yeah, I think that the point of life is just to live it, is because when you overcomplicate shit and you think about shit too much, there is negative that comes out of it.
It is, because I do tend to slip into those really bad episodes the times that I am like sometimes we sit at work and I'll be like, dude, I don't hate my job, but why the fuck am I doing this? To get an imaginary currency that I trade for other things that I consume.
I 100% like during my really, really bad depressive phase of life, that was all I ever thought about was why the fuck am I doing anything? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why? All I ever thought. And literally, and this is not a fucking suggestion for anybody. I'm not saying that this is what can help get you out of depression or anything like that. But whenever I feel bad or like feel like I'm getting depressed, like the way that I used to where like, once again, you're not sad, but you're fucking depressed. And there's a difference. There's a difference.
There's a huge difference, and I think a lot of people don't get that, which I think that, and hot take, because no one listens to it, I could say it, I think that mental illness has become a fad in some ways to where, I feel like it won't be taken as seriously if it's romanticized. And I feel like there's a difference between being depressed and being sad, like you're saying, and I'm not saying that people aren't. I'm not, and the thing is, you have to take it seriously because nobody's lying per se.
Yeah.
But I think that's been difficult too, because whenever you have somebody who is maybe nothing is actually wrong with them, they're wanting to follow the trend, and then I am sitting over here like having really bad thoughts that I've been having for years in a row, that I'm going on these spirals, and then I'm just like, but hashtag mental illness, I feel like a fucking dweeb, dude. Yeah.
I feel you on that. And like, I don't mean to, This is why I don't. This is why I've said, you know, when I've talked about my depression and you know the bad thoughts and things like that, I try not to like. I try not to say that it's like it is 100% depression or mental illness or whatever. I'm not trying to like push that on anybody that I'm whatever, but
But I'm not saying people are lying, but I'm saying that, you know, I feel like you've got to
I
get
think
what
we're
I'm saying.
on. Yeah, we're understanding. But what I was just saying was like when I get to that level of like, because I do still get to that level frequently, it doesn't go away. But I think now that I've gotten this like this idea of like, you know, you just live life to live it, and that's the fucking point of it. And there's no reason to overthink it. I can like, it's almost like a mantra that I can repeat to myself, and eventually get over it, and way faster than I used to be able to get through it.
That makes it worse for me when I do that, though, because, dude, at some point I go, okay, well, LOL, that's the only way it's going to be, and there's only one way out of that. You're not saying I'm getting there, but what I'm saying is that...
No, and I had that thought, too, when I first started thinking this way, too.
Like, at some point, it becomes a joke.
No, that is, I will say that is how I first thought about it when I started thinking that way, and there were some close calls, but, like, I think I was able to manipulate it in my own mind in a way to, like, it's not only the point of having life is, you know, is living life or
I was
whatever.
just like chilling on my couch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the hitting the why, I was able to like. It used to be that the why was a gateway when I would feel that way, and now I feel like for me the why is a wall, and I can stop at that why.
Okay, yeah,
I can
I see
stop
what
at the
you're saying.
wall that is the why. You know what I'm saying?
What's unfortunate too, and I talked to my mom about this one time because my mom, we're completely different, but we have similar mental tics and similar problems. And I talked to her. I was like, it's funny that I'm really into space and these type of things because the more insignificant I realize we are, and the more I realize that what we don't know, the more it bums me out. Which is funny that I get so into that because then that like puts the steroids, like puts the juice in the why question. But I still love thinking about it.
And I think literally I get right to that. I literally get all the way up to that point. But then I think like to myself, you know, fuck it, it's cool. Like even if like, you know, life has no meaning or whatever, and you know, space is infinite and there's others, you know, even if we're fucking puppets for another civilization that exists just to fucking watch us grow or whatever.
Like a Truman Show on a mass scale.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck because it's cool.
Dude, what if one day we die and we wake up in hell and we're like, fuck. God damn it, dude. Should have went to church.
We're just burning.
Just like,
Shit.
God damn it, I should have fucking went to church, dude.
Oh, shit.
And
Here's the thing. I'd be willing to take that L, honestly.
dude, honestly, I'd be like, you know, hey, that's on me, dog.
Yeah.
And then,
sorry, fam. That's on me.
But also, me he is playing in the background while you just burn all the time.
Here's the thing. You're in an IKEA. You're on fire, and me he is playing
Fuck,
in the background.
dude. Oh God. Literally, and what's funny is the fire would be the least of those things that bothered me.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
God damn, dude. My wife the other day was like, "Hey, can we run by IKEA? I need to run in and grab like one thing." And I said, "I know you're lying, but okay." And we were in there for an hour.
Oh yeah, I can't do IKEA. Fuck IKEA.
Dude, all right, okay, so you want to talk about compartmentalizing some shit to be okay with it. They need to make a video game that's like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but for the IKEA carts. Because, dude, when I get in there, I'm doing twisty spins, I'm doing sideways shops, I'm doing flippy hoopty doos, and like sometimes I'll spin the cart because 4 independent casters that move 360 degrees. So I'll literally spin that cart, I'll spin myself, I'll rotate, I'll catch it. It's incredible. The things I can do with that cart are incredible. Element, if you're fucking sick of skateboarding,
IKEA card, dog.
sponsor me for a Pro IKEA cart. Add scented glad bags, Pro IKEA cart.
You know what I do to get through IKEA? I fucking touch as much shit as I possibly can. Not because I'm interested or anything like that. I just, like, I feel like it's enough of a break from, like, staring at bullshit. Like, I just, like,
What's funny is people see IKEA and they're like, oh my God, it's great. But really what it comes down to is you're like, oh, a milk crate that's only $9. And it's like, who gives oh my God, a big sack of Tupperware or a subpar dog collar or a $6,000 wardrobe. That's IKEA, and it's like I guess because they create this atmosphere and they pre-build these bedrooms that look beautiful and these kitchens that look beautiful. It's like, oh my god, this kitchen that's stocked from top to bottom with everything looks fantastic. Maybe if I buy this pack of forks for $8, and that's how they suck you the fuck in, dude. And then after that, they say, you know what, you've had a long, hard day shopping. Let's get some meatballs. And no, I don't want to fuck. Side story of why I'm struggling with the thought of having to have kids at some point. I was in the IKEA kitchen and I saw this mom, and she had a son on, like, sitting in her lap that was just writhing and screaming, and you could tell she wasn't a bad mom. She had her whole act together, everything looked perfect, but you could see that she stopped trying to get the kid to stop because she was so dead inside. Like, she was literally just, and this kid's like losing his shit.
Now that you mentioned that, let me ask you, what do you think your response would be if so let's just say you have a kid? What would your response be if your kid just started freaking out like that?
My response, and I'm telling you, will always be not, and this isn't about what I would say or do with the kid or whatever. You remove that child from that, go be dead inside somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if your kid's screaming Harry Potter, you get him out there, and then you can be dead inside and let him scream. Because if it's in the
No, I'm talking
air,
about when you're away from this, when you're away
Dog,
from
I don't know. I don't know how to, like, okay, hey, you're a creature that has no idea what's good or bad and is also still a developing mind, so everything freaks you out and everything is overstimulating, but you don't have a moral set of rules that you've learned from experience yet, so what are you supposed to do, you know?
See, here's the thing. This proves that I'm fucking evil, because I have a diabolical plan for if I ever have a kid and they start freaking out.
You don't have to start whooping your kid's ass
No, I'm not going to whoop my kid
okay.
at all. No, I'm going to gently blow air on them constantly, like just...
Like Chinese water torture type
just fucking... and let them just freak out, let them just go as nuts as they want, and just...
Dude, that's fucked up.
Dude, because kids have short attention spans, so eventually they'll be like, what are you doing?
And that's like it'll create, I guess, a Pavlovian, like, training response at some point.
Because I'm not beating them, I'm not doing anything. I'll just blow steady, gentle air on them, and then eventually they'll be like, I don't understand. Why are you doing this?
So you're like Chinese air torture for children. All right, that works.
But it's diabolical.
You're not
It's the
hurting them.
most gentle, diabolical bullshit.
I mean,
you've ever
those.
heard.
The thing is, though, because think about someone who is a Jeffrey Dahmer who's being interviewed in prison, and they're like, "What do you think the first thing was that led you to drive crazy?" My dad didn't punish me like other people did. He would blow, and you would literally be like, "Oh, his dad's a fucking psycho." Like, instead of being like, "Yeah, I got into beating up people on the street because my dad used to beat me up as a kid when I was bad." That's different than, you know, like you hear about a lot of kids getting spanked and hit and stuff, or like their parents were mean to them, but you're gonna think the parents fucking so psycho if you're like, they blew a torturous stream of air on me at all times until, like, that's fucking crazy. That's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
But like, think about that interview though, because they'll be like, "Was it hot air? No. Did it sting? No. It was a gentle stream of air that he would just blow into my face."
Your logic in this is fucking frightening. Because again,
I told you it's diabolical. It's the most gentle, diabolical bullshit ever.
If fucking, like, if you thought about, like, I don't know, like fucking Saddam Hussein, and they're like, what happened? How did he turn out like that? His dad blew a steady stream of air on him to punish him as a child. You'd be like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
You'd be like, makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah, for sure. But no, I honestly think that if I do have kids, I'm going to be doing shit like that all the time. Like, just like weird tricks to get them to just divert from whatever they're doing.
I've heard that it's different when it's your own children, but man, I love my nieces to death, but dude, my threshold for screaming and like is non-existent. And, you know, we were out by the pool out in my wife's hometown, and my I guess I'll just call him my brother-in-law, or like, even though he's not married to my sister-in-law. I don't know what it makes him, but anyway, the father of my nieces, there were some other babies there, people who brought their kids around. And he's talking to me, and like kids would like 1.5-year-old babies would just be walking towards the pool, and without even missing a beat while talking to me, he would just like scoop them up and pull them away. And like kids are screaming, and all of them are at any given point almost killing themselves on accident. Mm-hmm. And during that, all screaming, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, how the fuck? And then it scares me even more whenever you know, my sister-in-law and then even her friends who had their kids that were like, hey, I don't know what y'all are thinking, but don't fucking have kids. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, that's scary.
Dude, at least you have nieces. Like, I'm about to have my first niece in November.
It taught me how to speak to children.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, I mean, and there are kids in like my wife's family in particular that I've been around, but I feel like I'm hoping at least, and I told Eric this too with his kid, I'm hoping that when my niece comes and when Eric's kid comes, that I'll care a little bit more about them so that, like, I could be better at being around kids.
Eric's kid is going to be so fucking cool.
Oh, yeah,
Eric's
sure.
kid is going to be the first one out of all of our kids to get a tattoo, that's for certain. And it's going to be a dope-ass tattoo.
Without a doubt. I mean, his mom has, like, neck tats, so.
He's going to be the type that pulls it off, too, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If he gets, like 2014 Eric, when Eric had the really good haircut. You remember that? When he had, like, the good pushback haircut.
Was he doing a swooper back then?
No, he had like,
Oh,
it was early
yeah.
stages of starting to come in, like, over and back. Dude, he had a great haircut back then.
I'm hoping that to continue the legacy, Christian metalcore makes its ironic comeback when that kid's about 16.
It's gonna come back around.
Oh no,
eventually.
it will. Trust me. I'm talking like deep V's and everything. But I'm hoping that it lines up to where that kid has his very own Speak Now Against the Day and his very own swoopy
He
haircut.
names it Speak Now Against the Day.
Speak Now Against the Day too.
That'd be so dope.
Dumb. That's fucking dumb.
That is. Hey, but he could be in the band with one of Nathan's five children.
Dude, literally that's the Partridge Family, dude.
Oh man. Well, yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. Also, I have to pee supremely bad.
Well, this is a good timing then, because I think we're we're done.
Yeah, and again, we're tired, but make sure to. More than any other thing you do, make sure to follow Scented Gladbag on Twitter.com. And you can follow Pod Pathetic. Don't unfollow me. Just follow me. When you follow me, press the screen twice as hard as you do whenever you follow Pod Pathetic.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, so I'm also going to try to be a little bit more, I'm going to try to make Pat to be a little bit more interactive on the Pod Pathetic Twitter. I'm going to just start doing like weekly polls now because I liked like seeing actual feedback. So I'll pick, a topic or whatever from each week's episode and turn it into a poll. So if you want to interact with us and, you want to do an easy version of it, we'll put polls up every week. We'll just do like a weekly thing. And then once it gets a little bit of momentum, we'll start like reading the feedback from it. And we didn't do this week's poll because we're recording this early for the holiday because we're both going to be out of town over the weekend. But next week I'll read the results for that poll, and then moving forward from there we'll start doing weekly polls, and we'll read the polls off on here. And then if you want to give feedback, you can give feedback on there, or if you want to give feedback on the show itself, Facebook, Twitter. If you want to hit us up in the DMs, we'll shout your Twitter out on the show if you want to, have all that. So hit us up. We'll incorporate you into the show somehow.
Lovely.
But yeah, thanks so much for listening. Once again, you can find us on Twitter at PodPathetic. You can find us on Facebook, Apathetic Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Apathetic Podcast. We are planning on starting to do streaming soon. We've kind of got everything mostly figured out.
We're working
now.
out some of the kinks on that right
now.
now.
Yeah, we're still working out some of the kinks, but it should be within the next few weeks we'll start doing that. So we will start streaming, and we will probably announce any streams on Twitter. So just if you want to watch us do whatever we do on stream, just make sure to follow us on Twitter. And like, share, subscribe, especially share. If you like the show, share it, because I feel like that's an easier way to get people to listen. But yeah, thanks again so much for listening. And
90 fucking 90, dude.
90.